Hey everybody, Valentine's Day is coming up, so I thought I'd talk about love, how to love yourself happy. Thanks for joining me here on the Cultivate Happiness channel. My name's Chris Howlett. Today we're going to talk about how to love yourself happy, maybe even asking the question, can you love yourself happy? How important is love and happiness? Well, actually, it's pretty important. It's important that we cultivate deep, meaningful relationships that will that we can invest our lives in, and where others can invest their lives into us. That helps boost our sense of well-being and happiness, and it's just an important component of our happiness. So that's what we're going to talk about is love. Now, whenever we talk about love, it seems to bring up some problems because we need to be on the same page, understanding what love is. And it seems like there are a lot of folks in our culture, in our society, especially in the Western world today, that have a lot of confusion about what love is. I mean, think about how we use this word love over a lot of different contexts. It's the same word, but really, do we mean the same thing? I mean, do I mean the same thing when I use the word love when I say, I love tacos? Do I mean the same thing when I say I love tacos when I say, I love my wife? Or I love my children? Or I love God? Does that word love mean the same thing? When I say something like, I love that television show, or I love Netflix, or I sure would love to go to a movie, but COVID's keeping me away. Popular culture doesn't help. I don't think what popular culture promotes as love is really helping us be happy. I mean, think about romantic comedies. I love romantic comedy films just as much as the next person, but don't they present this problem and the problem gets solved. The boy gets the girl, and everything is just wonderful and beautiful and just tied up real neat into a nice, tidy package at the end. Did you ever wonder what happens after the end of the romantic comedy? I mean, are their lives just perfect like that forever? I mean, that's kind of what we're told to expect when we're in a loving relationship with someone else. It's just going to be easy and wonderful and perfect. When we just work through the few problems at the beginning, then everything's going to be awesome. But life isn't like that. Relationships aren't like that. And love isn't like that. Yeah, we use the word love in some pretty strange ways. And if love is a key component, if love is important to our sense of happiness and well-being, then it'll probably be helpful to really think about what we mean when we talk about love. You know, we only have one word for love, and so we use it in all those different contexts, so it makes it difficult to really drill down and understand what we're talking about when we say the word love. The ancient Greeks had a little better. They had three basic words that they used for love, and so it helps us look at love and understand love from these different perspectives, and so that we're understanding better what we mean when we say love. They had more words that translated as love, but these are the three overarching, most important words for love in the ancient Greek world. The first word for love in the ancient Greek world is the word eros or eros. You might recognize that word. It forms the root of our word erotic. Eros or eros love has to do with romantic love, sensual love, love that causes sexual attraction. They even gave this type of love its own deity in the Greek pantheon of gods, Eros. He was the god of love. And from this character, Eros, we get our popular notions of Cupid. You know, he's flying around with his little arrow. The problem with Eros was, in the Greek world, was that he was kind of a trickster. He didn't play by the rules all the time, and so he would strike at inopportune times. And so they were a little scared of Eros because the passions could prove difficult to control. The second kind of love, or word for love, in the Greek world is the word philia. Philia. It's where we get our word Philadelphia, which means the city of brotherly love. In Greek thinking, philia love was a higher form of love, a more dependable kind of love, not nearly as scary as eros. Philia love isn't based on impulse, and it's not intoxicating, and it doesn't have some of those negative connotations to it as that kind of intoxicating eros love does. It's that deeper love that we want to invest and give our lives for the other, and then receive that kind of love in return. The third kind of love, or the third word for love in the Greek world, is the word agape. Agape love. Now, I don't really know what an English word is that incorporates this word agape. If you do me a favor and leave a comment in the comment section and fill me in. Agape love is this selfless love of the giving of oneself. It's an act. Agape love is an active love on behalf of the other. It's the kind of love that the Bible, the Christian Bible, talks about when it talks about God's love for humans. And it's most fully expressed in the sacrificial love of the Son of God, Jesus Christ, Jesus the Messiah, who freely gave himself on the cross. And so that encapsulates, that captures this concept, this idea of this self-giving love. And in the Greek world and in Greek thinking, and particularly in biblical Greek thinking, this is the highest form of love. And this is the kind of love, I think this is the kind of love that's going to invest us with the greatest opportunity to bolster and strengthen our spiritual, our emotional, our flourishing, our well-being, our happiness. C.S. Lewis, the English philosopher, referred to this agape love as a gift love. It's a gift that doesn't necessarily depend on the worthiness of the one receiving it. So it's not I'm giving this person love because they deserve my love. I'm giving this person my love because I want to, because I desire to give them my love. I desire for them to have the very best. And so this kind of self-giving, selfless love is that highest form of love. Giving and receiving love is one of the keys to a happy life. If we're going to cultivate happiness, we're going to want to cultivate love. In essence, we're going to want to love ourselves happy. We want to be giving away love, but we also need to receive love from others. We are social beings. We're made for relationships. No person is going to have a happy life outside of healthy, life-giving, committed, caring relationships. The famous poet, philosopher John Donne said, "No man is an island entire of itself. Every man is a piece of the continent, a part of the main." I love that. No person is an island. We're just not out here floating on our own. We are interconnected. We're part of something much larger than ourselves. And we find happiness when we recognize that and we invest in relationships with other people. Some philosophers and theologians go so far as to say that personhood itself, that our being a person, is actually dependent upon relationships, that there is no personhood outside of relationships, because in order to be a person, to be a unique person, is to be a person who is in relationship with others, that we are defined not only by ourselves, but by our relationships with others. And from a theological standpoint, that most important relationship that we're defined by is that relationship that we have with God. The three main types of relationships where we express, give love, and receive love are marriage, family, and friends. Now, marriage is a type of familial relationship, right? When there's a marriage that takes place, we really think of that as the formation of a new family. And there's no doubt that's true. But marriage is a special category all on its own, because that relationship between a husband and a wife, that relationship between two spouses is like no other relationship that we have with any other human beings. It's an intimate relationship, it's a special category all its own. Marriage is it's a kind of school of love, if you will. It's a place to learn how to love. I mean, we think, well, I'm not going to marry somebody I don't love. But what I've discovered in my own personal experience, and also just living life and seeing other people and being involved in their lives, is that, when you're young, you first get married, I'm not so sure that most people fully understand yet the depth and the meaning of what love is. And if you stick with it in marriage, if you'll stick together through the high times and the low times and both be invested in each other, then you're going to learn love. And so that's why I say that marriage is a kind of a school of love. There are all kinds of studies, tons of studies that suggest that people who are married over the long haul have more satisfying, happier lives. That our marriage relationship is key to our sense of well-being and happiness. The neat thing about marriage, if you think about it, when you reflect on those three words for love from the ancient Greek culture, is that in marriage you get to express all three forms of love. You know, there's the eros, the eros, the erotic, the sensual kind of love where you're drawn to that person. And then there's the filial love, that more familial family love, that kind of love of the long haul. And then there's agape love, where in the best marriages, there's this selfless love coming from both ends. The love for the spouse isn't based on, it's not a kind of a, what have you done for me lately kind of a love. That's kind of seeing love as like an exchange, like a transaction. You give me this, and I'll take that. No, agape love is that selfless love, that giving love. So when both spouses are selflessly loving the other spouse, I mean, it makes for a wonderful marriage relationship, which increases our sense of well-being and happiness. Just makes us better people. Then family, the family relationships, more that philia kind of love. You know, those our kinship relationships, our family relationships are vital. Relationship with our parents, our family of origin, our siblings, our relationship with other members of our extended family, aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents. You know, all these relationships help bring meaning and build support into our lives, the kind of support and love that we need. And then as we grow older, if we get married, if we have children of our own, well, then there's those family relationships with our children. And so those relationships, all those kind of family relationships, really change over time. And kind of the blessing and the good thing about that is that love that we have for our family grows and matures. So the love I have for my mom and dad, you know, when I was a little kid, is real different. The love that I have for them now. The love I have for them now is much more mature. It's based on a lifetime of experiences and loving, good experiences, bad experiences, hopeful experiences, sad experiences, times when we've let each other down, and that relationship has grown and changed. And same way with my kids. You know, my kids, all three of my children are all adults, so we're kind of negotiating, what does this mean to have this adult parent-child relationship? It's different. It's different from when they were little and when they were being disciplined and when they were, you know, being told they couldn't do this and they couldn't do that and they should do that and they ought to do this, right? Surely there's still opportunity for me as a dad to invest in their lives and to offer them guidance and advice, but it's different, right? It's different. So that relationship's grown and matured and changed. And I think, at least from my perspective, it's gotten better and stronger over the years. Same way with your siblings, same way with all the other relationships that you have. Those family relationships change and that love changes. And hopefully that love will grow and impact your sense of well-being. Then there's our friendships. You know, you need to make a few close friends and then invest in those relationships over the long haul. You can have a lot of acquaintances, and those are good. Nothing wrong. That's good to have acquaintances. It's good to have a large social network. It's wonderful to have a good, strong, good relationship with your coworkers. But you're just going to have a few really close friends over your lifetime. And it's important to have those and to develop those and to invest in those, because those are the kind of relationships that over the long haul that are really going to enhance your sense of emotional, spiritual well-being. Now, if we're going to talk about love and talk about relationships, I'd be remiss not to talk about religious faith, our relationship with God and with fellow pilgrims along the way. In all the research, there's a strong correlation between a relationship with God within the context of a strong community of faith and personal well-being, personal happiness. And as religion in the West is on the decline, this correlation isn't going away. It just means less people are experiencing this avenue and this hopefulness for a flourishing, meaningful, fulfilling, happy life. So if you're not a religious person, I would encourage you to maybe think about that and look into that and see if there might be something there that's missing from your life that might bolster your sense of well-being. Now, no matter what kind of relationships you have, if you're going to have relationships over the long haul, and if love is going to build happiness into your life, you're going to need to learn how to negotiate forgiveness. We need to learn how to forgive because relationships can be messy. People aren't perfect. People make mistakes. People sometimes even do things bad on purpose. And so if we're going to stay in relationships and be in relationships that are meaningful, we'll have to learn how to negotiate that. Forgiveness means releasing the person from responsibility for the wrong that they've done, either the wrong action that they took or the inaction they didn't take, or using the wrong words, or for perhaps not using words that you needed to hear. Forgiving them means releasing them from responsibility, not holding a grudge, but letting go. Now, this doesn't mean to forget. Forgiveness isn't forgetting because, well, you can't forget. It's in your brain. You can't just go back and erase memories. But it does mean to release from responsibility, to say, you know what, I'm not going to hold them responsible anymore. Just out of my love for them, out of my concern for them, out of my support for them, and my concern and desire for a continued relationship, I'm going to release them from responsibility. Now, I do want to say something about boundaries. This doesn't mean that you stay in a close relationship, intimate relationship with someone who's abusive. Someone's abusive over time. You need to set up some appropriate boundaries. Say, hey, I love you, I care about you, but we're not going to be able to spend this kind of time together, or we're not going to be able to occupy the same space because this relationship's become toxic. So if you're in that kind of a toxic relationship, you can still forgive, but you might need to adjust how much time and energy you're investing in that relationship just to protect yourself. And that's going to help bolster your happiness also. Really, when you think about it, I could do a whole series of videos on forgiveness. It's such an important part of healthy, happy relationships. You know, the Beatles sang a song years ago. It was pretty popular. All you need is love. Well, they sang that and then they broke up. So maybe you need something more than love. Love's not everything about happiness, and relationships aren't the only component of happiness, but they sure are important. Being able to love others, live in supportive, caring, meaningful, deep relationships with others, and being able to receive love from others is one of the key things that's going to help us experience a fulfilling, flourishing, meaningful, and happy life. Hey, thanks for watching this video. If this video has been helpful, do me a favor, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss out on any encouraging videos that are going to empower you and help you to live a happy, fulfilling, meaningful, flourishing life. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a great day.